Good morning, lunatics. Welcome to Morning Java. Morning Java brought to you, as always, by our good friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where you get...
I get this big, meaty, cheesy steak and cheese thing, and when I ask for the extra meat, they just kind of tilt their head funny because it's already kind of loaded.
Yeah, and if you ask for extra cheese, they're like, this doesn't have those dinky little cheese triangle things
None
on
of
it."
those, huh?
And the Penguins are getting a little less dinky on defense.
Yeah, I mean, Erik Gustafsson is a guy who's he's not very good at hockey Sunday. I mean, I don't know what to say here.
End of segment. We're good.
No, really. The thing is, this is a guy who, in fairness, 6'4", he could move a little bit. Was the number 3 overall pick at one point in the draft, so it's not like he came without pedigree. Since then, he's also earned really big paydays. So it's not like he's done nothing and has shown no value to anybody. But I have a feeling that what's happening here, social media focuses almost entirely right now on advanced analytics and a couple stats in particular.
Yeah, unless it's Dom Simone. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, except for Dominic Simone. Somehow he's completely immune to advanced analytics, even though his are great.
Jack Johnson is going to be let off the hook a little bit here.
A little bit.
Because the Penguins bring in the guy with the worst plus-minus in the game. Now, that's not an advanced analytic. That's one that's being phased out. But it does say something about the amount of times he's on the ice when the opponent scores.
I mean, he had a stretch in the past week alone where he was on the rink for 8 of the 11 goals that the Canucks gave up. Now, the Canucks stink. So they give up goals on a fairly regular basis. But even then, when you get into his relative advanced analytics, which basically just means comparing him to other people on his team, so that doesn't drag him down, he's still terrible. Now, that's not why he's here.
No, all I know is when I was searching for photos for us to use on the website, I came across ones of him fighting Tom Wilson, fighting other very big bodies.
That's it, man. He fought Tom Wilson. I think that's pretty much all you need for a contract with the Penguins now, right?
That's it. Can you believe run Ryan Reeves out of town and we're at the point where Goodbranson's the solution to fight Tom Wilson?
Ryan Reeves would still be chasing someone out of town.
So one thing that we saw in the Penguins acquiring Goodbranson was that they moved Tanner Pearson. He's a guy that's been kind of relegated to the fourth line, a spot that another body who likes to throw his weight around, Garrett Wilson, has actually kind of impressed us a little bit. So in getting rid of Pearson, does that add, 2 physical guys?
Pearson, the way he played the last couple of games since he was scratched, and I think we agreed on this, he played hard, and he was all those things that Mike Sullivan likes in his forwards. He was back-checking and everything that we called attention to.
Yeah, you really like the way he back-checked the last couple of games.
Yeah, I thought he was strong in Newark and out in the outdoor game. And that said, overall, he wasn't adding much. They never should have traded Carl Hagelin. I mean, let's just revisit that like one last time. But, are they going to become more physical? I guess. I mean, they do need some of that.
Well, let's talk about this, though, because I'm seeing a lot on social media across the board that the Penguins are kind of a soft team. We saw a lot of the reaction to Dumoulin getting hit by Simmons, and then the reaction to Letang getting hurt out of that as well. People calling them soft. But I think over the last couple of months, the team, the way they've been their best, and you've said this, when they're getting punched in the mouth, they're playing a better brand of hockey.
They play their best hockey, but it was specifically to Dumoulin and Letang. I mean, Dumoulin got blindsided / cheap shotted at whatever point of view from one of the bigger, tougher guys in the league.
And Letang gets a WWE move, whether it's an RKO or not.
But from a little guy in Shane Gostisbehere. So
yeah, I can buy it, but you jump on somebody, you grab their neck, you twist them, you torque them.
But it's still not that it's tough. It's not like they showed a lack of toughness there. Like you pointed out, I think right when it happened, Jared McCann was trying to throw people off of him to get to Simmons. No, that wouldn't have gone well for the young man.
No, but he tried.
Yeah. They do need some of it, though. And I think when you look at not just the Philadelphia game with all of its theatrics, but more so, I thought striking was the San Jose game, where, I mean, that was just men against boys.
Yeah, I had an issue with Garrett Wilson not being involved in that lineup. And it wasn't just, the skirmish that we saw with Evander Kane and asking people to get involved physically who the Penguins don't want to get involved physically.
Sid.
But the way that Garrett Wilson just throws his body around, the jump that he has in his step. Taylor pointed out to us that he had one of the best advanced metrics out there in the
only
Philadelphia.
playing,
he only played less
minutes,
than 8 minutes.
But you know, he's taking care of his own end. I just think there has to be some element of it without losing your mind over it. And that's where, at least now, Mike Sullivan has these options if he wants to use them. Ultimately, though, that still isn't going to be this team's identity. Okay, so I lead my column that's up this morning by saying that I really hate when people evaluate trade deadlines right after they happen. So let's evaluate the trade deadline right after it happens Sunday. Who's your winner and loser here?
Well, what's your headline say? I don't normally read the articles. I just stick to the headlines. So whatever that says, I'm just going to go with it, and we'll move on.
I didn't write about this. I've made fun of people who talk about it, so now we're going to talk about it. So I'm basically making fun of us.
Oh, okay.
You have like a team that you feel like really helped itself?
Yeah, you know, you don't want to break up the chemistry or mess with things too much, but I think the way that Columbus was on the bubble, whether they've been on the outside looking in or whether they've been inside, obviously adding Matt Duchene was a huge deal for them.
Enormous,
before
bigger than anything they did, right.
And honestly, keeping the two guys that they're not going to be able to pay in the offseason, one of them being the goaltender that the Penguins have no issues with. You know,
talking about
Bob, Swiss Cheese Bobrovsky, as the guy in 110 likes to call him. But, you know, I think that they did the best job out of any team out there. They added to some needs. They added a third goaltender. They didn't end up moving anybody.
Why did they add that third goaltender Sunday? Meaning Keith Kincaid from the Devils.
Well, you know, there's this team that Columbus doesn't play so well against.
No, and there's only one team that Keith Kincaid was good against all winter long. And funny how that Pittsburgh obsession just never stops.
It's almost like Bob can play against everybody else, and then Marty Brodeur can play against the Penguins.
The team that I thought helped themselves, to absolutely no one's surprise, will be the Winnipeg Jets. The acquisition of Kevin Hayes was one of 6 moves that Kevin Cheveldayoff made. Now, a lot of them were a lot smaller, but the Jets needed, and they've been looking for it. The way they got, remember Paul Stastny last year? Mm-hmm. They wanted someone like that to come in and kind of push Brian Little down the depth chart. Now you look at their top 2 lines with Hayes centering the second line, and I don't know if they're the best team in the West, but they probably are. If they aren't, the Sharks are.
Well, you know, and I've liked Wayne Simmons for his entire career, and him going out to Nashville, he fits their brand of hockey. More importantly, he adds a presence across all forms of hockey to either one of their top 2 lines. So.
Yeah, there's no question. Now, the team that hurt itself, I would imagine we're on the same page with this. Somebody do something about the Ottawa Senators. Just stop them. You know, that rink is so far. This has something to do with this. Stay with me. That is so far from downtown Ottawa. They need to move back into town. My understanding is that's going to happen in a couple of years. That beautiful downtown.
Yeah, we love it. It's one of our favorites.
It is, that rink is like almost an hour outside. It's ridiculous. But get a new owner in. Who cares? All they did was dump a terrific hockey player in Mark Stone for nothing.
Well, look, if you look at the free agent pool this offseason, Ottawa might be able to pick up some guys. Matt Duchene's going to be available at some point. Stone's going to be available. Zingel's going to be available.
Not now. Vegas is signing him.
Man, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I'm making fun of Ottawa for dishing, the top 3 bodies available at the trade deadline.
It's just, and to all they collected was a bunch of draft picks. And who does that remind you of in another sport there? That would be your Cleveland Browns. That's not the direction anybody wants to go.
Even if you can skate to work in the winter.